looking at your guys' touchdown drives, and only one of your touchdown drives this season has not included a big play. I think you had one against South Alabama, Colorado. How reliant are you guys on big plays, and is it a good thing?
That's an interesting question. I would say this: I think big plays definitely help us, and as part of our offense, I think generating big plays, whether it be a run up the middle or a deep pass, helps our offense flow and helps us get into that tempo even more. Helps us feel like we have the defense on their heels. With that being said, I don't think we need it to have a long drive and score a touchdown, but I certainly think having big plays, chunk plays help.
Just starting the Big Ten conference season, just your thoughts on what this means now, this next stretch of games.
Well, yeah, I think our whole team knows it's time for Big Ten play, and we're looking forward to it. Almost like a start of a new season, and we're excited that it gets to start this Saturday.
What do you know about the league that you didn't prior to last year?
I wouldn't say it's something I didn't know, but it's tough, it's physical, and every game's going to be a close one. Every game's going to be hard fought, and you can't take any opponent lightly. I think it's pretty evenly distributed and a good all-around conference.
How important is it to get that first road win for Scott Frost?
I think it's very important, and it's something that we aim to do this Saturday. Like you said, we haven't won on the road yet, and I think we're definitely capable of doing that. Now it's time to go out there and get it done.
Hey, you had mentioned kind of Noah and his impact just on you in the short time he's been here. What is it about him that's meant a lot to you as a friend and as a receiver?
Yeah, well, he's a real reliable guy. I think he's a stand-up guy, humble, pretty quiet, and a receiver that I can count on. And I think he's just shown progress and has stayed persistent, even though he didn't get as many opportunities as probably he wanted or I wanted the first couple games. He stuck with it, and I think it paid off, and he'll continue to get better as we progress.
Is he the kind of guy that through the first two games was calling for the ball or is he just kind of stay in his lane and not say about it?
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's that type of guy to come to me and ask for the ball, this and that. He gets it, and he's doing his job. He does his job to the best of his abilities, and that's something I respect. He wasn't upset about not getting the ball. He was upset about losing. And I think he understands that bigger picture, and he's in it for the team.
Would you see this last game, that worked better for you guys offensively or with your mindset in comparison to the first two games?
Yeah, well, I think having that experience from the week prior, not being able to finish and come through in that third quarter, I think it motivated the team coming out, and it was a learning lesson, and I think we came out and proved that we were capable of finishing a game and completing some drives there that were necessary for us.
Do you have a sense, Adrian, that defenses are more ready for you, that they're showing you things that you didn't see last year, that sort of thing?
I wouldn't say so. I think teams are going to prepare how they want. It's not something that I'm necessarily concerned about. Some of the teams have shown up in different pictures, different looks than what we anticipated sometimes. But it is what it is. And I have confidence in our guys, and regardless of what they're doing, I think we have the ability to execute.
How much do you like those 4th and 1s where they put you out of the gun and say, here, run it? You had the one touchdown against Colorado and 4th and 1 on your own 45 this last week. And you like when those are dialed up? Yeah.
Whatever Coach Frost is calling, I'm all in for. And if that requires me to run it, I'm going to do my best of my ability to get that first down. And I think it speaks a lot to the confidence that he has in me there in those situations. And I don't take those situations lightly. I go out there and do my best to get the job done.
Are you smarter with your body, though, now as a second-year player? I mean, do you know when to take a hit and when not to take a hit?
I would say so, for sure. And I think that was a learning process last year, especially early in the season last year. With that being said, I think there's still a lot of times in the game where you need to lower your shoulder and stay in bounds stay in bounds, fight for a few extra yards, whatever the case may be. But I think this year I'm a lot smarter when it comes to that.
Is there a specific place in the offense that you've seen more progress through these first 3 weeks? Does anything stick out?
I would say, in general, all of us, I've gotten a lot better since the first game. Our offensive line has done a great job. Our receivers have progressed. More guys are getting involved. I would think Diedrich and Maurice have done a really good job of getting better out in practice, focusing on what they need to get better at, detailing certain things, and it showed this last Saturday. So if there were 2 guys, I'd say that running back room has done a really good job.
Adrian, and following up a little bit on what you said about teams maybe not preparing for you differently, or that not something that you noticed. This is the first time, that you'll be going, Colorado, second time that you'll be going against an opponent for the second time in your career, and that's kind of the way it is the rest of the way. Does that change anything about you or the way that you think about how teams might prepare for you because they've seen you a year ago?
Not necessarily, and I think something to take into consideration there too is that I've seen them as well. I wouldn't say it necessarily plays a factor in my mind as far as how they're preparing for me. I'm going to go about my usual business and have that memory of playing them the last year, and they might make adjustments. They might change scheme. Might have different coaches. There's a lot of different factors. But in my mind, I'm preparing the same way and just going to go out there and do my job.
Illinois might change its tendency, but they tend to run a cover 2 or zone defense. What are sort of the keys for you when you're throwing against that kind of zone? And how do you feel like you've done against zone defenses in general?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say something necessarily changes in my mind, but I'll just have to be focused, be dialed in, and have a lot of accuracy. When those teams are starting to play zone, there's certain windows that you have to fit it into, and that's part of our offense, part of my game, and something that I'm just going to be honing in on this week.
How pleased were you with your passes on that 2-minute drive, specifically the one to Wandell?
Well, it was a little off the mark. I think Wandell made a good catch there. But I think we just went out there and executed. It's something that we practice all the time, and there wasn't a whole lot of thinking. We just knew what to do. We'd been in that situation before, and we went out there and played. There was a few passes that I wish I had back throughout the night, but on that drive specifically, I was pretty pleased that we were able to get a score there.
I know you're not talking to guys in a huddle situation, but what did you make of the way Brock Bando filled in late in the game?
Yeah, well, Brock stepped up. He did a great job, I think. And he was ready to go. I think that's just part of how our team is built. You have to prepare to be the starter, have to prepare in general, and be ready to play, and I think Brock stepped up in that moment.
With Wandale, what do you think of the threat that he poses and the way that he stresses defenses, even if he has yet to really break a big one?
Yeah, well, I think he's very dynamic. He can be a running back, he can be a receiver, slot. He provides a lot for us. He has a lot of different tools, and like you said, I think he's just going to continue to get better, and I think it's only up from here for him. He has a lot of capabilities going forward.
Adrian, you mentioned a little bit that you can't take anybody lightly, but how do you stress that fact to your teammates, knowing that Ohio State is coming a week later here?
Yeah, well, it's every game is going to be important for us. And this week is no different. Big Ten play starts. I think it's very important to start 1-0. And I think people that have been here and maybe the young guys that haven't, it's my job, the leadership crew, to let those guys know, it's the Big Ten. Everyone's going to be good. Everyone's going to be solid. You have to come ready to play or else you're going to get beat. And we know that. You can't just come out and expect to win. We have to go out there and perform.
Thanks, Adrian.
Thanks, guys. Great. Thank you.